Welcome to the Microsoft Tips Showcase, where we provide quick single-topic videos on how to do something with a Microsoft 365 related tool such as SharePoint, Dynamics, Office, etc. These tips are brought to you by SV MacPack, a certified veteran-owned and hub-zone consulting firm supporting primarily the U.S. federal government. In support of our customers' need to maximize the value of the tools they currently invest in, we started creating video tips. We hope these videos help you as well. This video is part of a series of videos that began with episode 15, introducing you to Microsoft 365 as if this is the first time you're seeing any of it. We'll move quickly to keep the video short, and we're going to go ahead and get started by showing you SharePoint and Teams. Now this one, SharePoint and Teams are just massive applications themselves within Office 365, so I'm not going down that depth with them, but I just wanted to point them both out. You see SharePoint right here and Teams. And I just wanted to give you a very quick introduction to them, maybe pop over and let you see inside of each one of them just to get you a little bit familiar with it, especially since this is theoretically the first time you're seeing it. But when you think about SharePoint or Teams, use the 4 C's that came from the SharePoint Evangelist book or some book out there. I got to remember what it is. But the 4 C's are communication, collaboration, consolidation, and consistency. Communication means trying to use one portal to communicate out to everybody. So, for example, if you have an announcement to make, you want to be able to push that out through a SharePoint site or a Teams site. And one of the main reasons is you're going to the group. Everybody who belongs to that group can see a related announcement. But also, if somebody else joins the group afterwards, they can see it. You don't really have that with email at all because no one new has all the old emails. The next thing is collaboration. That's this ability to work more and more together, and that's the foundation of Microsoft SharePoint as far as I'm concerned, and that's exactly where Teams is going. So helping you collaborate better with your teams. The consistency part is this idea, if you think about expense reports or submitting an expense request. It used to be a spreadsheet. You'd send it around an email. People would have outdated versions. They would always go back to this one folder where they had the one form, but it might be from 2008 or something. Consistency means taking that expense report or the expense request form and putting that up on SharePoint or in Teams, and that's where people go and request it for downloading it. And that way everybody's always going to the most recent version. You can think the same thing on policies. The policies are always in that one place. That's where we update it and we keep it consistent across the organization. And then the last one is consolidation. When you think about the file share drives, our thumb drives, our C drive, our local computer drives. You have data everywhere. When you have SharePoint or Teams, you're bringing all that data back to one location, in this case Office 365. And then with SharePoint and Teams, both of them allow you to create environments within them that are specific to certain things, like a particular project team might have its own environment, and that's where all the project-related files are. So they're not on different people's computers. They're not in this folder or that folder. They're all in one environment, one document library, for example, and you can find them easily. And you begin to eliminate duplication, which is a big thing. Let's go ahead and click on SharePoint here. When SharePoint comes up, I'm not really going to go a lot into this, but if I just click this and go into a team site, this is what a typical SharePoint site looks like. You'll notice across the top, it's got the standard Office 365 suite bar. It's got the typical ribbon that's within SharePoint. And you have a quick launch, which allows you navigation within the site. This Office 365 is part of the top links that you might have across the site. And then in here is where you begin to just create the page on what you want to see. Right now, it's not overly configured. It's not designed to be. But one thing I will show you is site contents, some of the things you can add in. You'll see this is the existing content that we have within this SharePoint site. I can choose to add something new. They call them apps within SharePoint, and basically they're lists, libraries, etc. But you'll notice I can add a new document library to store new files. I can have a picture library if I just want to get a lot of my media up there. I mentioned projects. You might have a calendar related to the project, whether you're tracking your schedule. These calendars are pretty advanced in SharePoint that allow you to do project Gantt charts, for example, and to view your data based on milestones. Maybe you're keeping all your stakeholders together under a contacts list. So you'll notice there's a lot of different apps you can add to a SharePoint site to make it useful for that collaboration I was talking about. I'm going to close that and just open up a Teams site really quick, or open up Teams right here. And Teams is the newest thing Microsoft's rolling out with as it relates to collaboration among teams. And in here, as you come forward, you'll have the same capability, but a lot more integration into the rest of what you do throughout OneDrive and Microsoft 365. Creating a team is this idea of beginning to name the team, decide who can be part of the team. So, for example, just the members that you choose to be in there, or just let everybody in there. So if you're doing a project site, you might just say only the stakeholders. That's what the members would be called. But if you're doing a softball team, you might sit there and say, look, anybody in the organization can join. We don't care. Nothing in there is going to be sensitive. Maybe only certain people care about it, but anybody in the organization can join. So there's a lot of activity. When you go into Teams, we'll have a lot more training, many videos that walk into the functionality and features of Teams. But when you think about Teams, think about this is where you can really begin to collaborate with a group, either one-on-one with colleagues in that team or with the entire team as you bring them together. I've heard that Teams is Microsoft's future for Skype. So if you're used to using Skype for instant messaging or communication, video conferencing, et cetera, then begin to know about Teams. And that's why you're going to see a lot more videos coming from us on that. I'm going to come back here. That was a quick introduction to SharePoint and Teams, just to wet your whistle, since you really haven't seen many of these features before. But for now, that concludes this video. I hope you found the tip useful as you continue to use Microsoft 365 related products in support of your day-to-day job. Please provide me with feedback in the comments, letting me know how I can make these tips more relevant and useful to you, including suggest tips that you think we should create. Finally, if you found this review helpful, please share it with others on one of the social media platforms, or just give it a thumbs up. I'm your host, Neil McDonald with SV MacPack. I thank you for joining me today and hope you'll join me again for other tips.